Hello and welcome to Spooning With Me, Mark Wogan. We are here in Home Slice in the City of London, which I have a mild connection to, but let's not dwell on that, okay? But I'm here as ever with a very special guest that I will be challenging the food that they love and the food that they hate. But who is my very special guest today? One of my favourite roles comes to light, which is Ian Fletcher. I mean, you know, having grown up in the family that I did, and my father's relationship to the BBC and his, what should I say, slightly disparaging view of management of the BBC.
Yeah.
It was much loved in our house, that we're talking about W1A.
W1A, yeah.
Because it's just plain funny.
It did. And we'd done the previous incarnation called 2012, which was all about the Olympics. And really, I mean, much as though many people at the BBC came up and kept saying, you've made a documentary, not a comedy.
Yeah.
It really isn't specifically about the BBC. It's really about management per se.
Yeah.
And I always say anyone who sat on a church hall committee or a FTSE 100 boardroom will recognise the dynamics of those meetings.
But Ian Fletcher is coming back, isn't he?
Ian Fletcher is now coming back. He's now been parachuted into a major international football organisation, which I can't name for legal reasons, and as head of integrity to sort out any issues that may be overhanging from Qatar.
Because, I mean, one might argue that role, he could easily go back and do that role in the BBC at the moment. But we won't dwell on.
He could. No, he gets around, Ian, and it's an adorable character. It's also the hardest job I've ever done. And each time we do it, I say, I'm never doing it again.
Why is it so hard?
Because the dialogue, every and is scripted. And it looks sort of, some of it looks improvised, but it's really not. And it's incredibly disciplined. And therefore, and because the language doesn't make sense, because people tend to say, yes, no, well, but yes, of course, or which is different from yes, well, no, but of course, yes. And so having to learn those rhythms is really hard. And I hate John Morton, but I also adore him because he writes and directs it all. And he's got such an amazing ear for dialogue and absurdity, and indeed for situations which usually come true. Creating like
he's like the Nostradamus of comedy.
Well, he sort of is in the case of 2012. The first episode was all about the countdown clock going the wrong way, and then stopping, and sure enough, on the day that the first episode was broadcast, Boris Johnson, as the mayor, unveiled the countdown clock in Trafalgar Square, and within a few hours it stopped. So then, in a weird sort of meta world, I was asked for a comment as Ian Fletcher, who was helping to organise the games, and I said it hasn't stopped; it's merely paused to reflect on the greatness coming ahead, and all that sort of stuff. So Ian always tries to get people out of trouble, normally himself.
Now, we wouldn't be able to get through this interview without mentioning, I don't know if you recall a role as, what was his name? Is it the Earl of Grantham?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah. And that is 15 odd years
on and off,
your life?
On and off 15 years, yeah. It was extraordinary. Yeah.
And it's sort of, then again, you're sort of catapulted into a different sort of realm of fame. And that pushes you, suddenly you're very famous in America because it drops really big in the States. And you end up at the White House.
That was quite funny. The White House had put an invitation out, and I think the only two people who weren't filming that week were myself and Elizabeth McGovern. So we went over as sort of representatives. It was when David Cameron was meeting Obama, and there was a sort of hands across to see, aren't we all marvellous? And so there were people from the arts and from business and, all sorts. And we had this extraordinary day at the White House, having lunch at the State Department with Hillary Clinton, and then...
What's the food like?
It's pretty good. I remember having bison for the first time at the White House dinner. That was quite something. And John Legend played, I think, and Mumford and Sons. It was an amazing day of, as I say, I suppose, sort of soft diplomacy of the different strands of culture and business coming together.
We go all the way back. You're originally from Cape Town.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, you were born in,
I'm South African, yeah.
and you were born into South Africa at quite a dark time in its history. How do you think that shaped you as a young woman growing up in apartheid South Africa?
Well, interestingly, my family were a very liberal family. My mother was an actress, and she campaigned. She belonged to something called the Black Sash, which was a women's movement against apartheid. And so she would come home. I remember her coming home once, and her black coat was all splashed with egg yolks because she'd been standing on the town hall steps protesting about apartheid, and people had been throwing eggs at these women. And so so I grew up in a family who constantly told us that it was wrong the way Black Africans were treated. However, we still lived within that system. So, and my father was very successful, a businessman, and my mother was a successful theatre manager and actress. And so we lived very well, and we had a cook, and I had a black nanny, and we had a gardener, and so we were really well looked after. So I grew up with in the South African tradition that the servants lived in sort of quite basic accommodation behind our house, and our house was very grand. And it didn't occur to me until I went to university and got more stuck into anti-apartheid campaigning, how absolutely monstrous it was that my nanny I had grown up with a nanny who only saw her children for 3 weeks a year. In fact, 2 weeks a year, because she had to get there. 2 weeks every year when she had her leave, her holiday, and she had to travel over 1,000 miles to get to the sort of reservation area where her tribe was supposed to live. And until the Group Areas Act, they had actually been able to live near Johannesburg. But then the government just declared that, if you were Xhosa, you had to go and live there, miles away, absolutely. And she saw her children for 2 weeks a year, and she saw us, and we absolutely loved her, but she saw us every day for a whole year. I mean,
but that is extraordinary.
It's dreadful, isn't it?
And we're not talking, I mean, you would say we are, but we're not talking, hundreds of years ago.
No, we're talking, I mean, I suppose, I forget when the ANC came into power, 1990 something.
Yeah.
And that was when it changed. And that was the most glorious day when, Mandela walked out of prison, for example, and then when he got into power. They were just fantastic hope in the country, and even the sort of Afrikaner community, who'd probably been the strongest white community in favour of apartheid. They believed in it as a kind of religion almost. Yeah. Even Mandela was so good and so moderate and so intellectual and careful that they really got behind it. And the whole country, including white people, were behind the whole ANC being in power. And unfortunately, they've become as corrupt as most African
it's extraordinary, isn't it?
Administrations.
Because it's
absolutely heartbreaking.
Because I always say about South Africa, given its location in the world, its natural resources, all these things, it should be one of the world's. It should be in the G7 or the G8, or it should be one of the world's superpowers.
Of course it should.
But it's always been systematically misgoverned.
It's always been misgoverned. I mean, first of all, it was very financially prosperous under apartheid, but they were excluded from everything because the rest of the world disapproved of what they were doing. You're quite right too. And then if Mandela could have sort of stayed some miraculous way, stayed young, or there could have been a Mandela dynasty of honest people. But it hasn't happened. And corruption is now so endemic. It's not so bad in the Cape,
Mm.
but in the rest of the country, it's just dreadful. And of course, the result is because, the officials keep stealing all the money. I mean, none of the electricity doesn't work. They have blackouts now for sometimes 10, 11 hours a day in every 24.
I mean, so I've visited many times over the years, and it's a fabulous country. And you just go, why?
I know, and it's still, I mean, I think, I don't want to dissuade people from going there, because I think the tourist experience is still absolutely magnificent, and it's very safe. That you don't want to go wandering into Kalaroutis at 2 a.m, but if you stick to the rules, you'll be fine. And it's so fantastic.
It's no different to here. There are certain areas of London we wouldn't go. If you are doing a tour, don't go there.
Yes.
Your acting career is, I mean, sort of stellar in terms of you've sort of done everything.
I've had a crack at everything. I mean, I've been lucky. I haven't done, I don't think I've done as much theatre as I would have.
But you've been doing more of late.
More recently, yeah. I was supposed to be doing a play this year, but it's shifted into next year. But yeah, theatre's a tricky one, because you always say I'm going to do more, and then a TV job might pop in, and so you say yes to that because
it pays nice.
Well, you lose money doing theatre, but what you gain is that interaction with the audience. And we were talking about it earlier. The live arts are the thing that is going to keep us alive.
Because there is that thing of, I think it was it Tom Courtenay said, if you want to know what it's like to be a movie actor, get yourself a caravan, put it in the middle of a field, and go and sit in it for 12 hours a day.
And then at sort of 9 o'clock at night, can you come and do your crying scene? We've got 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean but that is the reality of it. So that is, I think, why most people who love their craft of acting want to end up on stage, which is what we were talking about before.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing that brought me in initially was it's such a paradox, isn't it? Because you were talking about performance, and actually I came in through musical theatre, but I was often told in the early years, smile, look like you're enjoying yourself, and I realised, okay, so if I was enjoying myself, I'd be smiling, but I had to sort of fix a grin on my face because I realised it wasn't for me. And I still find the performance aspect a bit difficult. I'm much more of I'm a fly on the wall type actor, I think. It's like I want the audience to come in, but I don't want to be showing it to them.
But you have a screen presence, which, I mean, I've never seen you on stage, but you have a screen presence.
You must come.
Well, I want to now, definitely, because I think that would translate well on a stage. I think you have a demeanour about you that could hold a stage.
Well, I was sort of built for that. I mean, it's what, as I say, the training that started.
Because you didn't see most of your teens for your own jazz hands, did you?
No.
I mean, it was
They
blinded.
were massive. They were like in my face. But like, tap dancing at the age of 4. And then, all I wanted to do when I was in my final year of drama school, I wanted to join Théâtre de Complicité and spend the rest of my life in a company of physical theatre artists. Like, that was my thing.
Yeah, but what you did do, you literally ran away with the circus, didn't you? Were you 17? You went...
That was before drama school, actually, yeah.
So 17, you went off to...
Budapest.
Budapest, you joined the circus in Budapest.
Yeah, because back then you had to have an equity card,
which was nuts,
to go to auditions. And there'd be a room with equity members and people that don't have an equity card. And the people in the non-equity room weren't even being seen. So you'd come all the way down to London and you'd just get rejected by the assistants. So I had to get an equity card, and the only job I could get was it was in a sort of circusy dance troupe, 6 weeks in Budapest. So I went and did it and got a card. Don't need it now though.
And the rest is almost history.
Almost history.
But you then, so you studied twice, didn't you?
Yes.
So initially you went to, it wasn't RADA.
No, I went to Patterson College
in
Coventry, which took me to 16, 17. And I came out and went to open auditions without an agent, all of that. and then realised when I was being told, smile and look like you're enjoying yourself.
But do you think that what do you think was, because you obviously were passionate about music, you were passionate about dance, you could sing, another annoying string to his bow, you could sing, but musical theatre wasn't.
No, I didn't see a future in it for me. I was watching people around me who were so much better than me, and it is a particular muscle, musical theatre, musical comedy. I was watching my peers and thinking, I'm never going to get to that point. I'm in the wrong lane.
Right.
And actually, I was in Cats in the West End, understudying all the leads, and Gillian Lynn and Trevor Nunn came in to sort of revamp the show. And Gillian Lynn took me aside and said, I think you're in the wrong job. You should go to Lecoq in Paris to study mime. And I said, well, actually, I've just auditioned for Lambda and I've got a place. And so she gave me some money to help me through my first term. But yeah, she was right. She was right.
I mean, the point is, I think what's lovely about that story is, this is Gillian Lynn, who was one of the great choreographers of her generation, probably the great choreographer of her generation, that she sort of took the time to go, no, could you thought about, it's not bad, I just think you'd be better doing this.
Yeah. And it was interesting because I was unsure whether I was doing the right thing, because I could potentially have continued in, I was making myself a student again at 2021. Having been out there earning money.
The 21-year-old you would have gone, I'm too old to be
far too old to be going back to pita bread and hummus every night. But I did. I sort of stopped that career, and because I knew that this particular lane of a career can have a bit more longevity.
And I mean, it was a gamble that paid off.
Yeah,
quite frankly. So you did the 3-year course at Lambda, came out, new agent, new approach. And the sort of work started happening sort of pretty soon after that, didn't it?
Yeah, I went to Birmingham Rep, then went to the Royal Shakespeare Company, did a couple of seasons there, did a few one-liners on Casualty, Doctors, The Bill, as every actor does.
Well, of course you have to. One of the questions I want to ask is, how much does, you as an author influence now you as an actor versus you as an actor influence you as an author?
The kind of authoring, I think I had picked up some tools from working on long form TV, just how things are structured and what makes for a good story and what needs to be removed in an edit. Certainly when I go on to a set as an actor in someone else's project, understanding what your job is and the machinery of the whole thing is vast, and it has lots and lots of different moving parts, and you have to really understand what your moving part is so that you can be in harmony with the project. There's a common phrase which is used mainly about theatre, but it's about, when people say, oh, he stole the show, or he steals every scene that he's in, and it's like, that's not a good thing. You have to know when it's your time to be in the shadows and when it's your time. That's my job.
Do you feel different from an early age? Because what I pick up in some of your lyric is there's a little bit of someone who sees themselves as an outsider waving a flag.
Oh yeah. Oh no, and I love that. I actually it's really strange. I do have a lot of out of body experiences in myself sometimes. Like sometimes I can be in a situation and I can just switch. I'm quite spiritual though, and I really believe in the universe and how energies work and stuff. So for me, I do sometimes can switch out and kind of look into things in a different vision and different way. And I kind of feel like that's something as a kid, I was, even my friends this day who have known me since then are like, I've just always had this undeniable confidence where I always think to myself, I'd rather go all the way and then pull it back a little bit than be too scared to reach that line where I know it could be a magical moment where it could all be happening,
But that's I think a bit of the dichotomy with you, which is you've got this person who sort of embraced social media and what it could do for them, right? Therefore, putting themselves out there and presenting yourself in a certain way, which then gives a message to others that perhaps they can't live up to. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I think for me, social media is great in many ways, but it's also that thing of what you're saying is I've never been afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Whereas social media kind of makes you feel like you can't on a lot of levels. It's like it sets a perfect tone that is unrealistic.
Yeah, it really does. And it's really like, I honestly have always said social media, like there's 50% of me just does not like it at all, because there's certain things we shouldn't even be seeing. There's certain things that's just not our business. And when we get looked at, and when we look into those things, genuinely, it can be scary. It's just like, it makes you feel so overwhelmed, and you know, there's just things, and it also takes you off the track of your own life and what you're doing and being in the present. And I think for me as an artist and a person, like, I just want people to feel comfortable with what they have and what they are and feel confident about that. That's because we're all so different, you know.
We're given so many images and impressions and all that kind of thing, and you know, there's a reason it's called doom scrolling.
Yeah.
Because if you do it for long enough, you're only going to feel doom.
Honestly,
you're never going to come off that going, I'm so uplifted by my 4 hours of looking at social media.
Feel great. That person's just gone and bought like a massive car. I'm not great for them.
Because you either end up feeling terrible about yourself or humanity as a whole.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
You're sort of there going, why are they telling me this?
Yeah.
Why? I don't need to know that.
Yeah, and then you spend like half an hour thinking about that and then ignoring your own life and where you are in that point. Like I say to my therapist, I'm like, oh, I saw this and that. And so, you know, as an artist as well, you do like, you know, another artist doing this big show you wanted to do. Straight away, oh, you know, you're proud of them, but you're also like, oh, I want to do that. Like, and then I say to my therapist, she's like, it's none of your business. It's actually none of your business. And I'm like, why?
Have you had to seek help to get to this place of understanding?
Yes, yes, like massively. Like, you know, even I remember when I released my first album, I had this insane anxiety. Even when I'd go to a rehearsal, I'd have to play calming music because my heart would be racing because the world can get so overwhelming, the noise can get so loud. And we're nature, we're beings. You know, nature is like where we thrive from too. Like it was too much. I needed silence.
But it is that thing where, you know, to all intents and purposes and within the eyes of the law, you're an adult.
Yeah.
But I look back at 21-year-old me, that was not an adult in any way, shape or form.
Yeah.
I look at 55-year-old me, I know it's not an adult. But then, you know, that's the joy of getting older, is you realise you know nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
And actually, therefore, just keep an open mind. But I think it's interesting, all the people I know who get what you obviously get, sought help.
Yeah.
To get there. In other words, it's like, it's okay. You can't always get there on your own. Yeah. And having just a shoulder to cry on or someone to go to, I think, and who's also someone that maybe isn't your friend, like a therapist, that's you're kind of just can make you feel a bit less crazy at times, you know, and just someone that can go, actually, what you're feeling is completely normal and this behaviour comes from that or this comes from this. And, you know, especially now, it's just getting scary. Like the noise is just getting louder and louder in the world. And I think of like kids that you know, like born in 2006 and like even, you know, that are all like in their teenage years now, and I'm like, please just enjoy be in that moment, because when I look back at school, even at school years, I'm like, I miss GCSEs, I miss just not having to pay bills and not having to have all these adult things. Like, I just want to be a kid again. Well, can you tolerate another spoon?
Yeah.
Because it's time.
They're going to be giant.
It might be big.
Okay.
Who knows? But it is now time for your second.
Okay. Do I put this on?
Of course.
Right, put my bra back on. Eyebrow.
Right, so here it is. Your final one. I am going to feed you this as well. And
okay.
Pop that down over there.
Okay.
I'm going to set the plate brown so it's easier for me to grab that. Now, again, it's not a delicate mouthful.
Oh, God.
But here you go. Open wide. It's quite tall, this. There you go. Now, talk to me about what you've got there. Oh, there's a lot of tasting going on, not a lot of description.
Oh, I'm bloody you. It's Frenchie.
Is it nice?
Yeah.
Are you enjoying it?
I'm trying to place its flavour. I don't know why I can't.
I mean, it is, I've got to be honest, it's tied to something tied to couple of things that might be potentially controversial.
Chinese.
Yes? Yes?
The Chinese, you're like, oh my God, I'm talking my mouth full. My mother, like, brain me.
Yeah, she's up there with Mother judging us both.
It's Chinese, like hoisin or something.
Exactly.
And is it duckish? It better not be awful or I'll kill you. I'll actually take you down.
Wasn't awful. Okay. But you said you don't like game, you don't like offal. What do you think duck is?
It's that game, I suppose it is.
It
But
is
duck,
the
of course
game.
it is. However, the Chinese know what they're doing with the duck. Like you burn
What are
it
you
to a
saying, the
crisp.
French don't?
No, it's all like fleshy and pink and oozy and just feels too much like a dead thing.
So you won't eat a duck until someone's deep fried it to death.
I don't want my food to make me see its eyeballs or I love
Well, we had a duck spring roll there
Yeah,
with
yum.
hoisin sauce.
I did okay.
Yeah,
Upright.
you know,
But
but
quite
the
delicious.
reason I went down the Chinese route was there's that lovely story when you were in Bulletproof Monk
Oh wow.
and the stunt crew took you out for a traditional Chinese meal.
She's just, well, sorry, she'll get the answer to that question in a minute when she's finished stuffing the duck spring rolls in her mouth.
Yeah. So flew to Vancouver. No, Toronto. To do this film, Bulletproof Monk. And that was great fun and amazing. And I loved doing, you had to learn the stunts for a few weeks before we started filming. And the stunt team said,
Dangerous as a result of that? Can you, would you? Yeah, okay.
yeah, I love
I
all
mean,
that.
I sense that you are
Yeah,
anyway. so-
I love all of that. Love all that. And so the boys, they were like, "You must come for a proper Chinese meal." And in Toronto, there was all these amazing places. I was like, "Oh yeah, I love Chinese food. That'd be delicious." And you're with the real deal. Big lazy Susan. We're all around the table, and they're spinning at it. But then I kind of like, oh, chicken claws and
I like a chicken
Feet.
sauce. It's like sort of chicken flavored chewing gum.
but it just looks ugly. Like I'm looking at a person's butt.
You're not. You're looking at a chicken.
Not a person.
chickens have-
I mean, I'm not going to rush to eat your foot or his foot.
Well, you say that.
Although he's got very nice shoes on today.
He does.
But, you know, I'm still not going to eat his feet, but I'll eat a chicken's foot.
Okay, well, so I was quite scared by the body parts that were coming round.
You've
And,
eaten a chicken nugget, haven't you?
oh, I know you're going to tell me there's feet and eyelashes in it, aren't you? Oh, sweet divine. Oh,
I mean, maybe not so much now, but some of the early chicken nuggets, perhaps, there was
But
quite
also-
a lot of mechanically
I
reclaimed.
didn't know. I didn't.
Where's what you don't know?
But that's the whole principle behind this, which is you blindfold you don't know.
Yes, but that was delicious. But the yeah, so I had to. And then what happened was because I'm so middle class Irish, the course comes round and I'm eating everything. I'm full. I'm really happy. And then little did I know there was 15 more courses. I literally had to be carried out of that restaurant. But yeah, that was the most scary.
But
They don't
feeling
like
very ill.
very ill, and also I don't like to know it's from a thing.
This whole connection with you and the world of sex and pornography, this started very early on for you, didn't it? 22 years old, you joined Lord Longford's campaign to get rid of pornography.
If you'll pardon the expression, I've got to swallow first. I did. When I was a boy,
A boy, literally.
I had a very privileged boyhood. I ended up at Oxford University, where lots of exciting things happened to me.
To be fair, on a scholarship, though.
I won a scholarship. And one of the things I did was become president of the Oxford Union, the debating society.
Did you
Some of
annoy
the-
people?
Yes, I imagine I did. Some of the debates were televised, and interesting people came. And one of the people who came to them was the Earl of Longford, Frank Longford.
Yes.
Very famous in his day, and he had been a cabinet minister in Clement Attlee's government after the Second World War, later in Harold Wilson's government. And he was a social reformer, a prison reformer,
Yes.
bit of a frost at parties.
Bit of what?
Frost at parties,
Yes.
chiefly because he liked to bring Mara Hindley with him.
Yes, that was a weird relationship he had, wasn't it?
He befriended. He believed in being a friend of the friendless. No.
Yeah, no, I think there's a certain, admirable quality in that, but there's a line, isn't there?
There is a line, and he drew it at the side of Jesus. He was a good man. And indeed, there is something called the Longford Trust that still exists, which is about prison reform overall, but also it provides people who are mentors to people who have left prison and are going in for further education. So he did good work. But he got a bee in his bonnet in the late 1960s that our society was going a little bit too far, that sex was everywhere, that pornography was a scourge. Now, interestingly, at the time, people actually mocked him. Now most people would agree with him.
Oh no, absolutely. Turns out he was right.
He was right, and he felt that it devalued the people who were doing it, who actually, some of the performers. He was anxious about that some of them might have been coerced into doing it, or might later regret it, so that concerned him.
Or just making poor life choices.
Yeah.
But
he also-
interestingly, so around about this time, it's when they banned on top shelf magazines in this country the sight of pubic hair.
Oh.
So you couldn't, the way they thought, it wasn't like a law, but it was like you could get into trouble if you were selling a magazine that showed below stairs hair, pubic hair, right? And that is where the fashion for the removal, in other words, the Brazilian, began, was because I think probably Paul Raymond and all the porn producers went, well, if you can't show it, just show it off.
Now, through being on this pornography committee that Lord Longford set up, I met all these people, including Paul Raymond, who owned a large chunk of Soho and produced
And
these
his family
top-shelf
still do.
magazines and put on shows, ran the Raymond Review Bar, was an interesting character. It was the first Rolls Royce I ever travelled in, before I got to know your family. The first Rolls Royce I ever travelled in belonged to Paul Raymond. And through him, and doing this pornography committee, I went to work for I went to visit a film producer who was making pornographic films. And I noticed he only had one actress in the studio, and yet he was making a whole film. I said, how does this work? He said, it works with the merkin. So sorry, I wasn't familiar with this word. A merkin is, as you know, a pubic wig.
Yes.
And so he had these blonde, brunette, ginger. And so this one actress could play 3 roles within the film. Since all you saw were the private parts, it didn't much matter what her face looked like. Some of us would recognize by our face, but she was...
I know you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, hold on, you've changed your hair colour.
Exactly. So before the Brazilian came in, there was a case for pubic hair.
But this isn't a sort of what you would describe as an ordinary life choice for a young 22-year-old Oxford graduate.
So what happened is I was at home and I just graduated and I was beginning my life as a freelance journalist, broadcaster, writer of books. The phone rings and the voice says, "This is Frank Longford." And I think, can it be? It sounds like him. And he then says to me, "Gyles, I'm forming this committee to investigate the scourge of pornography. I've got a bishop, an archbishop, a rabbi, and I need some young people. And I've already got Cliff Richard. Would you be the other one?" So Cliff and I joined this pornography committee.
And you've been friends ever since.
And we've certainly known each other ever since. And I have to say, he was a delight. He was a bit older than me then, and indeed still is.
Still is, yeah.
Didn't look it then, doesn't look it now.
But he's had a bit more help than you.
I don't know.
Well,
he's usually...
He's definitely, I mean,
No.
with the greatest of respect to Sir Cliff, he's had the build.
I want to spare you litigation. He has had no work done at all except application of creams, oil of Olay most nights. So he looks fantastic.
Still boyish.
And
the Peter Pan of pop.
it was quite extraordinary. We would go and sit flicking through pornographic magazines,
It's a vision.
Extraordinary. Say, "Oh, look, Rabbi, one of yours, I think." We were there, Cliff on the one side. It was an extraordinary experience. And then we went over to Copenhagen to reap the alien porn.
Oh, yes.
So at the age of 22, 23, I saw it all. I mean, I say all.
Did it spoil you?
Some of it was distressing. I mean, to be serious, there was bestiality. And I was torn about it because I now think that the instinct of Lord Longford and the others was a good instinct.
Yeah, no, it was.
He basically believed in loving relationships. He didn't believe in the commoditization of sex. He didn't think that was a good thing. And I sort of fell out with him and the others because I wrote a diary about it. So I feel a little bit ambivalent. But for me, it was fascinating seeing all this. It was lovely meeting Cliff, but it was a curious thing to happen at 22, 23. So now I do feel I've seen it all.
That is all for this week. If you want to see what we're up to here, follow us on Spooning with Mark Wogan across all your social media channels, and you can see this in glorious Technicolor, including Hugh's rather smart three-piece suit, which I would recommend looking at on the Virgin YouTube channel. And if you haven't had enough of me, you can catch me on Saturdays and Sundays on Virgin Radio Chilled, where I will be there from 10 till 2 p.m. on both of those days, playing some music and talking a load of rubbish between records. But until next week, stay beautiful.